Okay. Good evening, everybody. I hereby call to order the meeting of the Santa Fe County Planning Commission on May 18th, 2023. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Charlie Gonzalez.
Here?
J.J. Gonzalez. Here. Erica Bogue.
Here.
Here.
Rhea Serna. Steve Krenz. Carl Trujillo. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. Any amendments or tabled withdrawn items? Seth?
Mr. Chair, there are no amendments or withdrawn items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the agenda, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All second, okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the minutes of April 20th, 2023, regular meeting. Do we have a motion or discussion?
I'll move to approve. Yep.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I see there's nothing on our consent calendar, so I'll go by that. Okay, next is a new business. Case is 22-5160, Maestas Holding Company LLC, conditional use permit in the village of Agua Fria. I do want to disclose to everybody that I am the vice president of the Agua Fria Village Association. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. Okay. John, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Planning Commission members. Maestas Holding Company LLC applicant George Maestas requests approval of a conditional use permit to allow a construction-related business. The 4.59 acre site contains a 5,612 square foot office warehouse structure and a 2,731 square foot barn storage structure. The site was previously occupied by Monte Vista Feed and Fuel. The site is zoned traditional community within the Village of Agua Fria Community District overlay. Table 9-12-8 use table illustrates that construction-related business are a conditional use within the Agua Fria zoning district. The site is located at 3155 Agua Fria Road within Section 32, Township 17 North, Range 9 East, Commission District 2, SDA 2. Summary. The 4.59 acre parcel contains a 5,612 square foot office warehouse building and an existing 2,731 square foot barn storage area on the property. The applicants intend to utilize the structures for their construction-related business. The business will perform construction management and electrical services for additions, alterations, installations, and repairs for existing and new structures under construction. The previous use on the property was Monte Vista Fuel and Feed, which operated for over 30 years and is no longer in operation. The hours of operation will be from 8 a.m. to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and clients and deliveries to the proposed facility will range from 0 to 3 times per week. There's a total of 12 employees, and 2 of the employees will stay on-site during regular business hours, and 8 employees in 4 vehicles will work off-site during business hours. Review. County Building and Development Services reviewed the application for compliance with the following requirements of the SLDC. A, Village of Agua Fria Community District Overlay, and B, Sustainable Design Standards, which include the following: fire protection, landscaping and buffering, setbacks, fences, walls, lighting, signage, access, road design standards, utilities, water, wastewater, and water conservation, terrain management, flood prevention and flood control, solid waste. Agency review under item C include County Fire Marshal, conditional approval, County Utilities approval, County Public Works Roads approval. Conditional use permits, item D. This is the SLDC section 4.9.6.5 approval criteria establishes the approval criteria for conditional use permits. Staff has determined that the applicant's proposal satisfies this criteria as contained in the memo. Recommendation. On April 13, 2023, the Santa Fe County Hearing Officer heard this case. The decision of the hearing officer was to recommend approval because the evidence supported approval of the conditional use permit subject to the conditions. Staff has determined that the proposed storage facility complies with the SLDC and recommends that a conditional use permit of Chapter 9.12, Table 9-12-8 use table, which establishes the criteria displayed as a conditional use permit and allows this use subject to the following conditions. If the decision of the Planning Commission is to approve the applicant's request, staff recommends imposition of the following conditions. And Mr. Chairman, I enter those into the record.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, and I stand for any questions Planning
Thank-
Commission may have.
Thank you, John. Does the commission have any questions of staff? Wendy?
Since the previous owner had dealt with fuel, are there any underground storage tanks or any of that type of equipment on the site?
Mr. Chair, Commission Member Perard, there are no longer tanks or anything in
They've
that
taken
facility.
them out,
Yes.
and there's no contaminated soil left or anything?
Mr. Chair, Planning Commission Perard, there is not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Does the commission have any other questions of staff? Okay, thank you, John. The applicant come up and make his presentation.
Mr. Maestas, I need to swear you in, if you're both going to speak. For support. Swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth?
Yes. Yes.
And would you provide your full name and your
George Anthony Maestas, 4 West Rabbit Run, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87508. Hello.
Okay. Were you going to make any kind of presentation or just tell us what you're doing there or?
Well, we'd just like to apply for our conditional use permit to run our business out of there. We do construction management and electrical also. So all the structures are existing. We don't have any plans for any new structures. Pretty much everything's in place, as is. The property was, like John had mentioned, it was a business for over 30 years, retail. To answer your question, the fuel part was, I think it was coal is what they used to sell. So there was never any gas storage or anything like that. So there's nothing like that present. So, but yeah, we're just looking forward to hopefully move in.
I have a couple questions for now. Are you gonna be open occasionally on weekends or on Saturdays?
Normally we are not. Every once in a long while we'll have to work a little overtime. But for 20 years, I could probably count, on 2 hands how many times we've done that. So sometimes I'm there myself,
Yeah.
but staff is usually not there.
Okay.
So.
Also, my other question is, I noticed that you're not proposing any kind of signage. Are you gonna put any kind of signage up there in the future? or-
When we were asked about it, I was just trying to get it moved through. So eventually, yes, I'd like to put up a sign. So I guess we would have to go through that whole process again, or can we just?
I don't know.
attach
I think
something
there's a
into
certain-
this?
I think there's a certain size you can get as a permit, but if it goes to a bigger size, you have to get a variance, but Jose should be able to tell you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you would have to meet the sign requirements in the SLDC, but we can definitely work with you. You have to meet setbacks for height and so on. But staff will work with you to get you a sign.
And the requirements in the SLDC, is that just for roadside signage, or is that anywhere on the property?
Mr. Chair, it could be freestanding signs or building mounted signs.
Okay,
Yeah, that requirement would stand.
okay. But anything outside of the SLDC, we'd have to apply for a permit, correct?
Mr. Chair, anything outside of the SLDC that doesn't meet the requirements, it'd be a variance, so it'd be the same process you're going through this.
Yeah.
So highly suggest to just meet the requirements and get a permit over the counter for it.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Does the commissioners have any questions? Applicant? JJ?
I've got a question. Yes, I had a question about the sign also, you know. You have a nice business there and also, you know, you need signage, you know, show people where you are. The other question I had was, did you drill a well there recently, like 2 years ago? It seems
Yes.
that the OSC permit here says 2021 that a well was drilled.
Yes, so when we purchased the property, the previous owners, the Montoyas, we had the well tested, the casing was failing. The last permit that we found was from, I think, 71 on that previous well. So we tested it, the casing was starting to corrode. So that was part of the purchase agreement, was that they were gonna drill a new well, and that's what they did. And it was all run through state engineers and everything.
Well, I saw that, yes, it's all legal and everything, but why didn't you connect to the Agua Fria Mutual Domestic? That seems the line is right on that street. And it would be a lot cheaper to connect to the Agua Fria water system than to drill a well with $10,000 or $20,000. That was the only question I had.
That was what the Montoyas chose. That was, like I said, that was part of the sale. So they paid for the well before the sale.
Okay, well, that's perfectly fine, but you know, it's always better to connect to the mutual domestic. It's a lot, you know, you pay a monthly bill, but it's a lot cheaper than maintaining a well. And I was wondering, but you have a well already, so that's besides the point. But my opinion is it's better to connect to a mutual domestic because it's a less expensive proposition and you get a reliable service. You don't have to work on the well. Of course, you're an electrician, so you could probably figure out all the electrical, but the mutual domestics, they need better customers. They need good customers, and it's more efficient for them to be on a mutual domestic. You know, those are the questions I had, the signage and the well. And everything else, I'm familiar with that piece of property because I used to stop there and get chicken feed and grass seed and stuff from the Montoyas. They're always very nice people there, so. And you have a big lot there. It's like 4 or 5 acres, I think. You plan to do anything in the future with that lot?
Not at this time, no. No, we just want to move in and operate our business out of it.
And where is your business located now?
We're right on Cerrillos Road. We have a Cerrillos Road address, but we actually access through Clark. So we're right on the corner of Cerrillos and Clark.
You work within the city. You have a city business license. You're within the city. Do you happen to have a county business license now?
We're within the city, so we have the city business license.
And you have a $10 county license? You'll have to be with the county?
Oh, but for where we're at now. He's asking about where we're at now.
Yeah,
Is
your
that's
city, you're in the city.
Yes,
Now you'll be in the county.
yes.
The county has higher fees, I think. But good. Congratulations on that business that you're going to take over for the Montoyas.
Yeah, no, they're wonderful people.
Yes.
They're, great family.
That's right.
Hey,
Thank you.
JJ, I just want to know if you were ever there when Mr. Montoya used to sing to all the women. I used to come into the shop.
When he did what?
Mr. Montoya used to sing to all the women that came into the feed place.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay, Eric?
Thanks, Chairman. Just a clarification. So although the Montoyas put in a new well in order for you to purchase the property, that's what I understand. What I read here was that the intention is to connect to the mutual domestic. There's a RWA from the mutual domestic. Is that right, or am I mistaken? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commission Member Abo, that is correct. They do have a ready, willing, and able letter. But after further review within the ordinance, it's not required for them to connect to a private system. If it was the city of Santa Fe system, they would be required to connect. They are required to connect the sewer system because it's within that certain distance.
Thank you.
So
And with regard to this, the sewer system, is there a requirement by NMED to abandon the septic? Or is that part of the requirement when you connect to sewer? Is you remove the septic or fill it or something?
Mr. Chair, Commission Member Abo, that is correct, there is.
Thanks very much. I have just a couple more, sorry.
Sure.
One of the things I wonder is there have been a number of construction services that have had equipment stolen, and I'm wondering, are you intending to store, you've got a relatively large property, are you intending to store equipment, you know, bobcats or anything like that on the property, and have you considered the security that might be needed?
So right now, there is the 2,700 square foot barn. It was a barn, and that's where we plan on keeping our vans. We have vans, so that's where we plan on keeping that. And then we also have on the other structure, I think it's, I forgot the size, but I think it's about a 3,500 square foot warehouse. So that's where we'll store material, stuff like that. So we're trying to keep everything inside.
That's a great idea. So my understanding from reading this is the only improvements you really need to make are some Knox locks for fire and some wall packs for the lighting, to upgrade the lighting. And those are the only required improvements. Is that accurate?
Also, Eric, I believe the entire site is fenced off with chain link fence.
It currently is, or?
It is.
Or needs to be?
It is.
Mr. Chair,
okay.
Committee Member Abo, that is correct. That is the only required improvements. However, they are planning to place a pond location to help out with site runoff, so they're doing that on their own.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you.
George, can you confirm that the entire parcel is fenced?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay.
Yes, has a chain link fence with barbed wire on the top.
The old time then, okay. Okay, let's see here. All right, any other questions? The applicant? Okay, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. Anybody out there who wants to speak on behalf or against this project? Anybody online there? What's that?
Mr. Chair, I see no one online that wishes to speak.
Okay. So I'm gonna close the public hearing. And so I got a couple questions. So basically, this property, this is to staff. You can sit down right now.
Thank you.
So basically, John, this property was existing zoning is commercial, and so the grandfather status is for the existing commercial use, right? So now we're coming here before for the change of use to that includes construction activity.
Mr. Chair, that is correct. If it was a site development plan approval, then we would be doing this administratively, but because it's a conditional use permit, it needs to come before the planning commission and the hearing officer.
I was just kind of curious because the report didn't say anything about grandfather status or nothing.
Right, that's because of the zoning change.
Okay, all right. So in the county, anything that's grandfathered in, if it's not used for a year or more, then the grandfather use is gone, right? Null and void, right? Is that still in existence?
Mr. Chair, I believe that is still the issue, and it just depends on the zoning district and what it lands under and type of use it's allowed on that property. Being that this is a commercial-related business, it was a conditional use permit, again, so that's why it's through this process. But that applies to all the other properties within the county.
So I guess a concern I would have is that would there ever be a situation where some applicant has a grandfather status already approved, and then they going through the county to get it approved, to go through the process, and it's over a year, and they lose that grandfather status? Is that a possibility or not?
Mr. Chair, that is a possibility.
I'm kind of concerned about that. I don't know if there's any way we can patch that up in the future, but I just want that on record. Jose?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, concerning this property, when the applicants first came in, they were wanting to apply for a business license. This particular property for the feed store, which I know very well, came in back in the like early 80s, mid 80s, got a master plan, preliminary and final development plan for the feed store itself. I researched and researched, went through the clerks, just could not find anything to, not that it would help the applicant, because it was a master plan specific for the feed store, but it may have some language where we could have just fit them into a category and it would have been a permitted use. But unfortunately, we couldn't find anything, unfortunately, for the applicant. So we explained to them that they needed to do the all-free overlay district. The table states that this type of business is a conditional use, and therefore they had to go forward. So the grandfather status and then the zoning, it wasn't zoned commercial neighborhood, it wasn't zoned commercial. It has a separate zoning, but the use is allowed through a conditional use permit.
I see. Okay, thank you. I just kind of, thinking about it and wondering is that, I've also wonder is if that original use, if they would have been like, sometimes these feed stores sell landscaping materials. If they would have been doing that, would that have been a whole different situation for this one?
And again, Mr. Chair, the non-conforming use, it has to be similar or close to the existing use to be, in other words, if it's landscaping and they want to do auto body, it might not fall under the non-conforming or grandfather status, as you say.
Mr. Chair, and it has to be less extensive type of use or at similar use like Jose has mentioned.
I see. Okay, that's my neck of the woods, so I'm kind of familiar with that area too. I guess the other thing I would say is that I've talked to a lot of neighbors and relatives that live in that, especially on the road that I live, Callejon de Rita, which is a block away from the site, and a lot of them have been asking me questions and so forth of why this business sat there empty for a long time, and on our drive on Callejon de Rita, we have two grandfathered businesses. Recently, one was changed from making wooden steps to painting. They did not have to go through this process, but they may have been pre-code, I'm not sure. The other one is a door and cabinet shop, which has stayed the same. And then right now, there's property located at 2367 Callejon de Rita on the verge of or running a business from the residents, possibly a temporary storage yard hub for their towing business registered in the city and the New Mexico Corporations Division in 2018. They generate more traffic and activity than both the grandfathered businesses combined on Callejon de Rita, and they have not to go through any type of public posting process, and they purchased a property in about 2018, and the neighbors stuff keep asking me about this. How come these guys have to go through this? It's been here forever, and these guys are doing this. And the other thing I would just say is that I would maybe recommend the county staff looks at aerial photographs of the property. If that property pre-2018, when it was owned by the previous owners versus now, he was also an electrical contractor, and the property was in a lot better shape. But I'm just going to put that out there. Another question I would have for staff is this going to have any kind of impact on the potential Santa Fe River improvements that are coming up? Is there any kind of agreements or plans with the property owner to do this work?
Mr. Chair, not that I'm aware of. No, that's something certainly I could look into and get you an answer for.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Maestas, before you got it, I go there and visit with Mr. Montoya, and I know that the county was working with him on getting some improvements for that Santa Fe River corridor that's going on. There's improvements going on there, and I don't know how much is going on your side and how much is going on the opposite side, but that's coming up, so you can check into that.
Mr. Chair, I think the improvements are going to be mainly on the north side of the river, northwest, I guess, side of the river.
Okay. And the last question I would have is that, do we know in that area, is the sewer trunk line on the south side of the river or the north side?
I believe it's on the south side, Mr.
I don't remember
Chair.
anymore. Is it on that side?
I believe it's on the south side, and it ties in right there.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Does anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay, that being said, does anyone have any discussion or a motion? JJ? Okay. And we had a second already?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and it's been second. All in favor? Wait, Jose?
Mr. Chair, is that with conditions, staff conditions?
Oh, with staff conditions. Okay. Okay, all in favor of this project, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Good luck there, Mr. Maestas. Okay, let's go on. Petitions from the floor. I don't see anybody coming up. Communication from the commission members? No? Communications from the attorney?
There are none.
Okay, are you new?
I am new.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Enrique Romero. I'm an assistant county attorney. I just started a few months ago. I'm filling in for Roger. Roger's out on vacation today, and Esteban is with me as well.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you. Matters from the land use staff.
Mr. Chair, there's a couple of them. First, I'd like to introduce our Deputy Land Use Administrator, Lisaida Archuleta. She's been with us 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, what's her name again?
Third week.
What's that?
Lisaida Archuleta.
Archuleta.
And secondly, I've been working with IT to get the Planning Commission access to the PCs here in the chambers. This form that John's handing out, and I don't know the legal aspects of having a quorum, so might be wise for you guys to read it and sign it now while we have a quorum before you adjourn. And then the next meeting on, tomorrow I'll be doing work orders for all of you to have access. The next meeting in June, hopefully everybody is here. Then we would have IT come in and do a quick training. It might not take very long. This way, we don't have to do the packets. You come in, you have access to board docs here in the chambers. And especially if we have several cases or a huge case coming in, this packets and packet material is a lot of paper and a lot of staff time. So if you wouldn't mind taking the time to read that document, and if you feel you want to, please sign it, and then I'll have that for our IT division. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I have nothing else.
Okay, I have one more question. Have you actually had conversation, I guess you guys with the city, as far as when we're going to hold our ELUA and ELUC meetings and where we're going to have them at?
Mr. Chair, media just asked me that same question. So the LUA and LUC would not have a meeting unless there was an annexation that was coming through.
Sure.
And that's the only thing that you would be hearing is annexation.
Okay. Commissioner Hanson was telling me something about a possible meeting coming up for the ELUC, I guess. And we'd be with the ELUC. The commissioners would be in the ELUA, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just keep us informed.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. Next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting is June 15th, 2023. And can I get a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chair, I believe that Jose asked us to read and review and execute these documents before we adjourn. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Yes.
So I'm not moving to adjourn.
Okay, well then let's sign these first. Yeah, Jose. Also, another thing is that, being that we're still on, one thing to keep in mind is that when we do have those other meetings, is that, and stuff coming up, one thing that really helped us a lot here are those earpieces. So, because of the sound. So if you could maybe push on that too, if it's going to be here.
You know, I'm right next to him, and it just, the acoustics.
I understand completely, yes. Yeah, I'll work on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Jose, should we put in land use as the department or planning commission or something else? There's a blank for department?
Planning Commission, please.
Planning commission, okay.
18th. Yeah, must be nice.
The apology, I have a code book for you since you started.
Okay,
Still my office.
okay,
Mis-
I promise I will get it to you the next
Mr. Chair,
okay. Okay, that'd be great.
I would
Thank
move
you.
to adjourn.
Okay, so we have a motion for adjournment. Do we have a second? Okay, we got a motion, we have a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.